Aliens, Fireteam Elite. If Alien, Isolation captured the fear at the heart of the original Alien movie, then Aliens, Fireteam Elite taps the trigger-happy joy of that flick's action-packed sequel. In this predictable, yet enjoyable, multiplayer co-op shooter, you and your friends pick different classes to build the most effective team. Use handguns, shotguns, and flamethrowers to put the xenomorphs in their place. Battlefield 4. When it comes to evaluating any title in the Battlefield franchise, it's important to remember that the only reason anyone plays campaign mode is to unlock new weapons in multiplayer. Despite great voice acting by Michael K. Williams, Omar from The Wire, campaign mode is little more than a 4 to 6 hour tutorial teaching you how to play the game. Multiplayer combat, on the other hand, captures the awe of destruction. You can run across the battlefield, ducking in and out of cover, board a helicopter, hop on the minigun, cut enemies to shreds, then hop off the gun and repair the helicopter while in flight. It's all in a day's work on the battlefield. Battlefield V. Battlefield V looks gorgeous, plays fast, and encompasses all the hallmarks of a modern first-person shooter. It includes respectable single-player content, war stories, and new takes on multiplayer gameplay, grand operations, but both settle into genre norms. Battlefield V's most apparent drawback, however, is the complexity of its progression systems and somewhat repetitive gameplay. Overall, Battlefield V is a solid entry in the long-running Battlefield series, and you should play it if you are a fan of previous titles. Just don't expect anything groundbreaking. BioShock Infinite. Shattered dreams form the foundation of BioShock Infinite, the third installment in Irrational Games' impressive saga exploring the devastating effects of isolation, and isolationism, on the human psyche. But even if you love the original BioShock, 2007, and its sequel, BioShock 2, 2010, this chapter won't leave you with the impression your dreams have been betrayed. Wedding familiar gameplay elements from the preceding titles with exciting new mechanics, an engrossing story, and stunning visual design, BioShock Infinite is the culmination of the series' aesthetic and its promise to turn a mirror on humanity by probing as deeply into the self as possible. Borderlands 2. Gearbox Entertainment and 2K Games take you back to the warzone with Borderlands 2, the sequel to the hit apocalyptic RPG shooter that isn't Fallout. If you played the original Borderlands, you understand this game. You play a vault hunter, a treasure hunter looking for an alien vault on the barely colonized planet of Pandora. While doing so, you cut a swath of death through thousands of Mad Max-style raiders, mutant animals, and robots. Throughout your adventure, you level up your character in an RPG-like fashion, and collect hundreds of different guns, each with its own unique stats and attributes. Call of Duty, Black Ops. Activision's Call of Duty, Black Ops is less like a traditional first-person shooter than it is a plunge into someone else's fever dream. A jolting collection of intense action sequences, haunting writing, and ultra-dark humor, this installment in the popular franchise revitalized the historical fiction FPS genre. Though its captivating campaign is on the short side, it's loaded with additional things to do, including cooperative and competitive multiplayer scenarios and plenty of unlockable extras. Call of Duty, Black Ops 2. Let's start with what will be the meat of the Black Ops 2 experience for many, multiplayer mode. Developer Treyarch has not toyed significantly with the formula, giving players numerous options for facing off against others across the country and around the globe. The missions include Team Deathmatch, Free-for-All, Search and Damp, Destroy, Capture the Flag, and 8 others. You can also engage in 2 types of combat training runs to hone your skills, or play 4 party games that put interesting for entertainment only spins on the weapons you can use and the rules you play by. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. The Call of Duty franchise has experienced an identity crisis in recent years, with a focus shift from World War II battles to space adventures to Battle Royale. In other words, Call of Duty has strayed far from what made it an excellent first-person shooter franchise. Though Call of Duty games still dominate sales, publisher Activision and developer Infinity Ward felt the need to relive the series' Modern Warfare glory days with a reboot of the seminal 2007 title. The new Call of Duty, Modern Warfare has the action-packed single-player and robust multiplayer modes one expects from the series. It successfully strips away all superfluous elements and delivers an experience even non-shooter fans can enjoy. Counter-Strike, Global Offensive. Valve's Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, CS, debuted in 2012, backed by a strong heritage of multiplayer FPS titles, including the original Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike, Source. 6 years later, the fast-paced PC game still mostly holds its own against more modern titles, partly because of its established core gameplay and active community. Visually, however, CS:GO is starting to show its age, and it's not as thematically rich as popular titles like Overwatch. Still, many players will enjoy CS:GO's no-frills experience and highly competitive esports scene. Doom. Don't let the non-numerical name fool you. Doom is the latest sequel in the Hallowed series, and it's the best modern update one could hope for. It's also the best first-person shooter in recent memory, so long as you stick to the gory, frantic, and lovingly satanic campaign. The multiplayer is lackluster and the DLC is a shame, but the real star, the single-player mode, blends old-school design with modern know-how to form a satisfying, unholy concoction. Doom Eternal. With 2016's Doom, developer id Software successfully resurrected one of the foundational first-person shooter franchises. Given the game's critical and commercial success, it's no surprise to see a follow-up. Doom Eternal takes everything that made its predecessor a wonderful, demon-slaying shooter and bumps it all up by several notches courtesy of ridiculous weapons, fresh navigation options, and new multiplayer mode. It is almost too over-the-top at points, but that's precisely what makes Doom Eternal one of the best shooters ever made. Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4 is a fun sandbox of shooting with an interesting land to explore and tons of missions to find and collectibles to grab. It slavishly follows Far Cry 3's structure, but when the action is this entertaining, hard to complain. Far Cry 4 doesn't do much new, but it's an enjoyable and good-looking excuse to spend some hours stomping through jungles and sniping people from towers. Gears 5. Although Gears 5 is the first main game in the long-running series to nix the of war suffix, make no mistake, the Gears world is still at war. The third-person shooter is the sixth entry in the franchise and a direct sequel to Gears of War 4, continuing the story of the Coalition of Ordered Governments, COG, fight against the Swarm. Gears 5's captivating storytelling, solid mechanics, and excellent graphics far outweigh this PC game's merely average multiplayer modes. It's an easy recommendation for longtime players of the Gears of War series and newcomers alike. Gears of War 4. Gears of War 4, the new Gears of War, Ultimate Edition. Gears of War, Ultimate Edition, the first DirectX 12 PC title, just about sets the standard for what a remastered game should offer. The third-person shooter was already a great game when it debuted a decade ago on Xbox 360, but this updated title adds 4K resolution, unlocked frame rates, and content that was once paid DLC. That said, Gears of War, Ultimate Edition isn't perfect, it doesn't work well with AMD GPUs, bugs from the original game are still an issue, and it lacks some of the updated mechanics found in later Gears games. But if you own an NVIDIA-powered gaming rig, you'll be good to go. Halo, Combat Evolved Anniversary. Halo, Combat Evolved reimagined the first-person shooter genre for consoles and popularized many of the controls and functions that such games would use for decades afterward. Halo received an enhanced remake in 2011 for the Xbox 360, Halo, Combat Evolved Anniversary, that featured updated graphics and a toggle function that let you swap between classic and remastered visual styles. Now, that Anniversary Edition gets updated with 4K graphics, ultra-wide monitor support, and other features you'd expect from a contemporary PC game. It launched with a few bugs, but is generally a rock-solid good time. You can buy it as a standalone title or as part of the $39.99 Halo Master Chief Collection. Halo 2 Anniversary. Halo, the Master Chief Collection is a nostalgic compilation featuring Microsoft's classic first-person shooter titles, but the reworked games launched with various bugs. Halo 2 Anniversary came out the gate in a better state than the games before it, but has multiplayer and graphical glitches. Still, this updated Halo 2 is a great shooter, as it features fast-paced shooting action, wonderfully overhauled 4K graphics, and the ability to dual-wield weapons. Halo 3. Halo 3 is a must-own shooter. It's easily the most polished Master Chief Collection game released to date, offering excellent shoot-from-the-hip action, cool new weapons and mechanics, and a dramatic conclusion to Halo 2's conflict. Plus, Halo 3 looks better than ever thanks to 4K assets. If you find yourself itching to replay it, or if you never had the chance to do so before, consider the game a fantastic buy. Halo 5, Forge. It's easy to recommend Halo 5, Forge to anyone who's looking for a solid multiplayer shooter. Forge comes with a wealth of multiplayer modes, including the titular map editing mode, giving you a ton of content to chew through. It does have a few shortcomings that are worth noting, however. Multiplayer matchmaking is restricted to private lobbies, so sessions are limited to playing with your Xbox Live friends. In addition, Halo 5, Forge suffers from a tight field of view that makes playing the game unexpectedly stressful. Still, if you are willing to overlook these and a few smaller issues, Halo 5, Forge is well worth downloading. After all, you can't beat free. Halo Reach. Halo Reach, a part of the Halo Master Chief Collection compilation that bundles every mainline Halo release, sans Halo 5, represents the first time the shooter has appeared on PC. Although the base game is as thrilling as the Xbox 360 original, this Master Chief Collection port suffers from changes and hiccups. Still, Halo Reach fans should pick it up for the new 4K, 60 frames per second gunplay. Halo Spartan Strike. Is there anything that sounds more cynical than a top-down shooter Halo spin-off for phones and tablets? Ever since single-handedly saving the original Xbox, Halo has remained Microsoft's gaming cash cow, so sticking its name on something is a great way to drum up extra interest. However, instead of being a mere cash-in, Halo Spartan Assault is a legitimately fun and well-produced game, triumphantly translating Master Chief's missions to PCs and mobile devices. Halo Spartan Strike maintains much of that game's strengths, while cutting out most, but not all, of its weakness. Overwatch. Shooters don't always need to be dark, gritty, or realistic. Cartoony fun has its place, too. Blizzard Entertainment's Overwatch is a prime example of exactly that, with its colorful levels, multiple game modes that focus on teams attacking and defending, characters with vastly different play styles, and a few MOBA-like twists. Overwatch is a thoroughly enjoyable first-person shooter that's filled with mechanical variety, but it has one glaring problem: its awful microtransaction structure. Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 2. The original Garden Warfare married PopCap Games' zany Plants vs. Zombies universe with strategic, class-based third-person shooting, resulting in an addicting, polished multiplayer shooter. Garden Warfare 2 expands the roster of playable characters and variants, adds all new customization options, introduces new game modes, and fleshes out the single-player experience, creating a much more rounded game than the original. That said, balance issues make some classes feel more potent than others, and the server connectivity is spotty at times, resulting in jittery matches. Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 2 is a solid title nonetheless, and one that fans of the original and newcomers alike can enjoy. Prey. Let's get this out of the way, Prey could easily pass as an unofficial System Shock game. On the surface, Prey looks very much like the brainchild of industry veterans Ken Levine or Warren Spector. While the opinions of the latest System Shock spiritual installments, BioShock 2, BioShock Infinite, are all over the place, Bethesda's take does the Shock family and first-person shooter genre justice with its fast-paced, body-morphing gameplay set in Art Deco-flavored environments. Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront is a multiplayer shooter that reboots the classic LucasArts video game series. Unlike previous games in the series, Star Wars Battlefront lacks an overarching narrative and historic battles to reenact. It's basically a modern shooter given a liberal coat of Star Wars paint. The veneer is a fine one, and Battlefront has some good action to offer, including a playable Emperor Sheev Palpatine. However, once you look past the facade, the game doesn't have enough content or variety to keep you invested for a super long time. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 does many things right. It has top-notch environments, thrilling multiplayer modes, and engaging mechanics that will have you piloting ships and swinging lightsabers deep into the night. That said, Superhot. Superhot is the most innovative shooter to come along in some time. Despite its unimpressive visuals, this game is a genuinely creative and challenging experience that injects puzzle elements and a bizarre meta-narrative into quick, bite-sized servings of computerized violence. It might seem like a short and simple game at first, but between the addictive time-pausing mechanic and some very satisfying and repeatable extra modes, you'll quickly find yourself playing it for hours, and the built-in social media features for sharing your best runs will keep you coming back to get more consecutive, stylish kills. Vanquish. An act, process, or instance of changing place, is how Merriam-Webster defines motion. That meaning also perfectly summarizes the Platinum Games developed Vanquish, a third-person shooter in which static play is a death sentence. Exquisitely designed with movement in mind, Vanquish is kinetic, jet-powered action adds visual flair and a wonderful sense of movement as you wreck mechs, vehicles, enemy troops, and super-powered bosses in a near-future setting. If Battlefield and Call of Duty have turned you off from shooters, Vanquish's unique take on the genre may be the title to make you strap on your in-game guns.